Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 1090 Jake, and I'm rocking with y'all, and y'all rocking with me. And for this video, we're going to be speaking on the 17-year-old girl that caught a body after robbing another teen for his gun and then shooting the wrong person. Sunday, August 28th, 2022. It was 10:06 at night when the Pottstown police were dispatched to a call for shots fired in the area of Grant Street and Union Alley. Arriving at the scene, officers would find blood stains and several spent shell casings, but no victim. Minutes later, officers would notify the two gunshot victims that had arrived at the local hospital in separate vehicles. A 25-year-old man identified as Dakari Rome was pulled from a vehicle driven by friends with a gunshot wound to the chest, dying only moments after. The second victim, a 17-year-old male whose name was withheld due to his age, was driven to the hospital by his mother and suffered a gunshot wound to the hand. He would be treated and released within hours, and 4 days later, an arrest was made. 18-year-old Kasim Williams was arrested after U.S. Marshals executed a search warrant on a home in North Philly's Hunting Park neighborhood. Sim would face charges of third-degree murder, attempted murder, aggravated assault, conspiracy, robbery, and a list of other charges as police released a detailed report stating what took place the night of the shooting and that another suspect was wanted. To everyone's surprise, U.S. Marshals were now after a 4'7", 17-year-old girl who law enforcement believed was the shooter. Pottstown police investigators and the Montgomery County Detectives Bureau would align in a joint investigation into the double shooting. Through interviews and surveillance video, it was determined the 17-year-old surviving victim and 25-year-old deceased victim Dakari were hanging out with Kasim Williams and Jahme Bonds, the two identified suspects. A third unidentified female was also present as the group of five traveled in Dakari's Audi SUV with Jahme behind the wheel. The vehicle could be seen pulling into the Gulf gas station just after 9 p.m. as Kari, Sim, and Jahme all went inside while the unidentified victim and unidentified female stayed in the back seats. They leave, travel into a parking lot in the 600 block of Grant Street where the group played the Orbeez Challenge, a TikTok challenge in which they shot each other with plastic guns that fired water beads. The group would then be driven by Jahme to Grant Street and Union Alley, where things took a turn for the worst. Sim was sitting in the passenger side back seat, allegedly took out a handgun and handed it to Jahme, who was still in the driver's seat. Sim could then be seen on video exiting the SUV at 9:59 p.m. That's when Jahme aimed the gun at the 17-year-old male who reached for the gun when she fired, sending a bullet through his hand and unintentionally into the chest of Dakari. The 17-year-old male, realizing she just tried to kill him, can then be seen exiting the vehicle and running down Union Alley while Jahme got out, handing the gun over to Sim, who then fired multiple times at the teen who kept on running. Both suspects would get back in the vehicle with Kari, who was bleeding out, and the other unidentified female. They drive to the emergency room, but they didn't make it in time to save Kari. And with Sim arrested, a search warrant for his cell phone would reveal a motive behind what took place. Kari had texted Sim from inside of the SUV only moments before the shooting saying, "Yo, ask him to hold his gat. Once he give it to you, tell him he burnt." Sim would reply saying, "Tell him let you hold it while I drop him off up there. Once he do, don't give it back." These texts would reveal Kari and Sim had planned to rob 17-year-old Lil Smokey, a teen who they both knew. Smoke also provided police with an interview at the hospital after he'd been shot in the hand, telling police he possessed a 9mm Glock that night. He went on to say he handed the gun to Kari, who handed it to Sim, and Sim would pass it off to the 17-year-old girl Jahme, who began playing with it and recording herself on her cell phone. That's when she turned towards him, aiming the gun, and said, "What else you got?" Arrest warrants were issued August 29th, the day after the murder, and 17-year-old Jahme Bonds would remain on the run until October 8th when U.S. Marshals placed her in custody inside of a home on Lambert Street in North Philly. Because of text messages revealing the robbery motive, the charge of third-degree murder has now been upgraded to second-degree murder, followed by the remaining charges of attempted murder, robbery, etc. It would seem 25-year-old Dakari, the oldest of everyone involved, was the one who came up with the idea of robbing 17-year-old Smoke. For whatever reason, the two men decided to have the 17-year-old girl initiate the robbery, and she would shoot Smoke through the hand as Kama placed a bullet into the chest of Dakari. Many would assume they tried to backdoor Smoke, and the fact that they were friends makes it look even worse, as a picture posted to Dakari's Instagram would show him standing to the right of Seam with Smoke all the way on the left-hand side. The tan gun in Smoke's hand is alleged to be the gun they try to rob him for, meaning Kari is standing in a picture with his friend Seam, who's charged with his death, while Smoke's holding the gun that ended his life. But those close to Kari are painting a different picture. When Lil Smokey was shot, he ran down the alley to his mother's house, which is how he was transported to the hospital so fast. Allegedly, Smoke had recently broken into a home in the area, was acting like a crash dummy, and Dakari wanted to take his gun because Smoke was becoming too problematic. It was supposed to be a lesson learned, a form of street discipline, as Smoke himself wasn't just an innocent victim, but an active participant in the lifestyle. He easily gave up the gun, handing it to Kari because there was trust there. He didn't expect it was about to happen, and in the midst of taking the gun, for whatever reason, the 17-year-old girl Jahme decided to take it a step further by asking what else Smoke had on him, making it seem like a full-on planned robbery. Whether or not she meant to fire is the question. Smoke raised a hand, a bullet went through it, but once Kasim grabbed the gun and started firing at Smoke as he ran, it only made the robbery and attempted murder seem that much more intended. The craziest aspect is that from Kari's perspective, he wanted to humble a wild street kid who was crashing out, as he was too active in the streets. But it would end with Kari losing his life, Seam and Jahme crashing out, and Smoke snitching on the ones he once called friends. Seam is now facing a life sentence, while Jahme's age may spare her from the possibility of life, as the sentence of life would be replaced with decades instead. With an overwhelming amount of evidence, it'll be hard to justify what took place, and a plea deal can be expected from both suspects. Now this is a lot to process. It's a sword, and it's a double-edged sword. There's two sides to every story. You have Smoke, who a lot of y'all are gonna sympathize with for a lot of different reasons, right? He was one of the youngest kids out of the group. Specifically in this situation, he was the youngest aside from the girls. He was wilding out, which is normally expected from the younger ones. But apparently he was getting himself into some shit. He had a gun on him, they asked him to hold it, he passed it off. And then they allegedly tried to rob him with his own gun, which resulted in him putting a hand up, getting shot through it, and the bullet hitting his friend in the chest, his own friend, while his friend's associate starts shooting at him as he runs off. So he snitches, he fully cooperates, gives up everything that the police want to know, tells them he had a gun, tells them what happened, how it happened. Like I said, a lot of y'all are gonna sympathize with it. Y'all are gonna be like, well, why show loyalty to people that obviously turned on him and could have possibly killed him? Unfortunately, that's the unspoken rule of the streets. You're not supposed to say shit. I mean, it isn't even unspoken. People say it all the time. You're not supposed to tell. It doesn't stop people from telling. But to hear that what happened allegedly only happened because of how wild he was, and that he was doing grimy shit behind the scenes and doing things and putting other people's names in it that he shouldn't have been, it was a form of punishment that he was supposed to go through, from what it sounds like. Because the other perspective is Kari's. Kari being the older one, the one that Smoke most likely looked up to. And Kari, it sounds like, wanted to teach him a lesson about the situation. We're gonna take the gun, we're gonna make you feel like a victim, and maybe it'll calm your ass down a little bit. And instead, it ended horribly. Kyrie died. Seem and the girl crashed out. And this kid, I mean, now he doesn't have his friends. Most likely his street reputation, since he just told. And being that he's from Pottstown, Philly, fucking, like they're like 30 minutes away, that probably put a big target on his back. You know what I mean? Because they get shit done out there. Especially Philly. They get shit done. I don't know if y'all seen the shooting videos from over there, but that shit's like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2. It hasn't even come out yet. But what can we learn from this though? You got a young kid trying to prove himself. Those are the most dangerous motherfuckers to be around. Somebody that has something to prove. Age doesn't even matter. Because you got dudes that'll go do 20 years in prison, get out, be 40 something fucking years old, have no money, have nothing to live for. They're basically the same as an 18-year-old that just graduated high school or got kicked out of high school and got nothing to do. Except they're 40 years old. They got nothing to lose. It's a dangerous person to be around because they don't give a fuck. So what could have Kyrie done? Could have cut him off. Could have walked away from the situation instead of taking on the situation for himself. Had he had just cut the kid off, the kid most likely would have crashed out. Got himself a life sentence. Did some dumb shit to somebody with that same fucking gun. Would have took himself out the game. Kyrie wanted to step down in the situation and lost his life over it. Now this 17-year-old girl, I don't know what's up with her because it ain't really normal for 17-year-old girls to be pulling out guns and hey yo da. But then again, we're talking about Philly. She most likely just ruined her whole fucking life. You know what I'm saying? She could come up with whatever excuse she wants to come up with. Seem, it sounds like he's done because they're saying they got it on video of him shooting at Smoke as he's running away. It's a crashing out situation. And it seems like everybody's life has been negatively affected. But hey, it's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all rocking with me. Until next time.